Peace, rise and shine. Sunshine TV you're rocking with right now. And I'm going to get into this quick class on the initiation rather, the levels of initiation as far as consciousness goes. So this is for fair use because I'm ascending and I'm getting out of the level of clairvoyance. Let me go there. Because I've been initiated as far as my conscious being awoken. But let's get into the class. No buts. One time for the one time. Shout out to Manifest Destiny. I think is the name of the channel.
There are three different aspects of initiation or becoming an initiate. In one of these, what is actually being illuminated begins with the thinking process, with actually knowing about non-physical realities, knowing about the greater spiritual realities that we come from, and the spiritual depths of oneself. This is linked to the spiritual centers inside the head. And this is also linked to the illumination of the thinking process, so that with this process we actually know consciously the structure of the spiritual worlds, how we interact with them, how they influence us on a daily basis. And within this Rosicrucian system, that would technically be known as an initiate, someone that actually understands the systems. In this path of illumination, we find that everything is a thought form from the mind of God, and all those thought forms have a pattern to them. And the current term that we use for understanding those patterns is sacred geometry. So sacred geometry is a universal science for understanding the patterns of creation at every level. And so no matter what tradition you study with, they will work with sacred geometry. Because the sacred geometry at the highest level is a pure packed thought form from the mind of God that shows you the pure pattern of everything that's manifested from it. Now the next level is that of the clairvoyant. And from one perspective, we could say this is linked to the illumination of the heart and the feeling life. The Rosicrucians talk about a process within an initiation in which at a certain point, when the heart becomes open and unarmored, and we cultivate this feeling of unconditional love, there's a ignition of a kind of spiritual spark within the heart. And what happens then is that they describe it as an etheric rose light arises from the heart and moves up to what's commonly called the third eye center. And with that rose etheric stream, it enters into the centers in the head, that area that is technically at the third ventricle of the brain and was known as the cave of Brahma in the Indian teachings. This is a particular area that's open in the head that has a space between the pineal and pituitary glands. And as this space becomes illuminated, it leads to direct spiritual vision. So the third aspect here is that there's also the cultivation of action or of the will. And this is linked to the belly, or what in Japan they call the hara, or in Chinese alchemy they call the lower dantian, the lower will centers here. And through the action or willing form of illumination, one is able to take action esoterically. You're able to actually use non-physical realities to change things on the physical plane. Now, at the most extreme form of this, we have things like actual physical alchemy and the transmutation of one physical substance to another. This is usually attained after going through multiple steps of being able to transform something that is less dense. And that is normally etheric energy fields. So the actual vibrational transformation of energy fields, energy healing, things of that kind, is something that you find very strongly on this path. So the person that can actually transform things using spiritual forces is referred to as the adept. That gives us a bit of an overview for how this fits together. Within the Rosicrucian work, you find at a certain point that the consciousness body of the human being has three centers that can be worked on and awakened.
Daily motivation.
And those three centers are around the head, the heart, and the hara. And this is really a universal teaching. If you study with the Buddhists, they'll talk about the thought, speech, and action. If you study with Sufis, they'll talk about the head, the heart, and the hands. All these different traditions are working with the same concept. If you studied Chinese medicine or Chinese internal alchemy like Qigong, you'll know that they have the upper, middle, and lower dantian.
It's all about
they refer to
breathing.
these as elixir fields.
Yeah,
understand
DMT.
what these actually are
It's in the
energetically.
lungs.
They are a kind of spiritual elixir field that we can work in and illuminate the forces of. So depending on where we focus
All right,
on
that's it, man.
primarily,
5
we
minutes
can
in.
first begin to
One
develop
time
the
for the
capacity
one
of understanding
time.
things
Peace,
in a
y'all.
conscious manner.
I hope y'all enjoyed that and got something out of it, because I sure did.